The hall is bright, but the air is thick. Courtiers trade smiles like coins. Compliments drift like incense. Today you witness a different power. It is not the loudest voice, not the richest cloth, not the man whose name is chanted. It is the quiet figure who never leans in, who never begs the room to breathe for him. He watches unmoved, while loyalties slide like sand under a tide. He does not chase eyes. He does not reach for hands. He needs to pass around him like smoke around a stone. Detachment is the hidden lever. The one who needs least decides most. When you are owned by outcomes, you can be purchased with promises. When you are starved for praise, a soft word can wrench your spine. When you cling to affection, you will fund your own captivity with apologies and excuses. In every court, corporate, political, family, those who pant for approval are led by leashes woven from their own breath. Watch the bargain of being needed. Being loved for convenience is sweet until the bill arrives. You are adored when you solve their problems, when you feed their image, when your silence protects their position. But the moment you say no, love remembers its terms. Respect, however, is different. Respect is granted to the person who can walk away. Respect follows the one who can endure a door closing without begging to be let back in. Control begins where need ends. They will offer you comfort. Stay. We take care of our own. They will pour sugar into your ear and call it loyalty. But dependency is an auction where your dignity is sold to the highest fear. If your value lives in their yes, they will charge rent for your soul. There is a price for being chosen by patrons and favorites. You inherit their enemies and you accept their leash. A detachment habit cuts that cord. You take what is offered, but you do not kneel for it. Do not mistake detachment for cruelty. It is measured under heat. It is the pause between impulse and reply. It is 2 beats of silence before the mouth signs a contract. The mind cannot afford in the war room. Detachment is a map spread flat, not a sword thrown early. Generals who survive count supplies before they count speeches. At the negotiation table, detachment is a chair pushed back 1 inch. You can accept, you can decline, and both are fine. In a family argument, detachment is a breath held long enough to let the first storm pass. You do not freeze your heart. You train your hands, cold hands, warm strategy. You keep your grip steady so mercy can be chosen, not spilled. Detachment lets you help without being used, love without groveling, and promise without becoming property. It gives you time. In time, fog thins. In time, masks slip. In time, people reveal whether they trade in gratitude or in threats. When you are not rushing to be liked, you can see who profits from your hurry. Consider the leader who refuses urgent flattery. She hears praise and files it, not as oxygen, but as data. She measures what is requested after the compliment. A shortcut, an exception, an oath. She lets the noise pass. The room learns she cannot be coaxed with sugar or cornered with silence. She is not cold, she is clear, and clarity commands. The board belongs to the one who can leave the table. You cannot be captured by a game you are willing to stop playing. Detachment is not escape from life. It is permission to choose your battles and terms. The world remains a market of interests. Fine. Let others bid with panic. You will bid with options. You will keep your center unpawned. Choose this: fewer needs, cleaner lines, slower promises. Stand still while flattery fogs and loyalties shift. Let them wonder what you want. You are not hiding. You are governing yourself first. I choose terms, not chains. Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. You want warmth, and the world knows it. It holds out a cup and calls it love. Steam rises, sweet and reassuring, and you drink. Then the handle tightens. The cup is a cuff. You call it belonging. They call it leverage. False comfort wears perfume, so you forget the iron underneath. The velvet chain is woven with compliments. You're different. You're family. Only you can do this. Hear the softness, then study the hook. Praise that arrives before a request is a bribe with a smile. Praise that arrives after a boundary is a leash disguised as gratitude. When you swallow it whole, you forget to ask, why today? Why this tone? Why this audience? A boss posts your photo with glowing words, then adds a late-night small favor. A partner calls you their anchor, then demands you cancel your plans to solve their crisis. A friend declares you the real one, then pushes you to laugh at a joke that injures you. Praise is a velvet chain. The comfort is real, but so is the tether. Do not hate praise, weigh it. A ruler survives by testing gifts for hidden strings. When you are praised for being easy, you are being trained. When you are praised for being loyal, check if loyalty means muteness while they benefit. Detach first, analyze second, then decide. Practice this drill. Every compliment triggers 3 questions. What behavior is being rewarded? What cost is being masked? What obligation is being implied? If you cannot answer, do not move. The moment you pause, the fog thins. You see who is warming your hands and who is cuffing your wrists. Step back and see the market you live in. Workplaces, friendships, romances, each a bazaar where trades are disguised as tenderness. In offices, attention is currency. A senior mentors you with praise, and in return you attend to their insecurities, their deadlines, their reputation. You trade late nights for a seat near the heat. You keep quiet in meetings so their slide looks stronger. In friendships, status is a chip. You laugh at jokes that bruise you to remain in the photo. You run errands of ego to stay invited. In romance, access is a gate. You are given intimacy when you agree to ignore the bill of chaos. You pay with silence and call it devotion. Every gift signals a ledger. Free dinners are not free if they buy your silence about the billable lies. Public flattery is not free if it purchases your signature on a shaky plan. Even apologies can be currency. I'm sorry used early and often becomes a coupon for the next offense. Read the fine print. We're like family here usually means overtime without ceremony. Ride or die often means carry me while I burn our map. Loyalty can mean I've chosen your future without asking. When words glow, look for the invoice. Some will claim unconditional support. Test it. Change one condition. Decline a favor and watch love take attendance. Ask for reciprocity and watch how fast the room checks its watch. The reliable signs of real care are consistency under your no clarity about terms and respect for your separate life. Everything else is sugar around a hook. The test is simple. Remove the benefit and see if the warmth remains. Understand the dependency markets in numbers. Imagine a scale. On one side, place your concessions, time, reputation, options. On the other, place their deliveries, resources, access, protection. If the scale never evens, you are not in a relationship. You are in tribute. Tribute breeds resentment, and resentment invites revolt. Both are costly. A Machiavellian mind prefers sober accounts to explosive scenes. You can love, but you must lead. You can trust, but you must audit. Courts collapse when books are fantasies. Map the trades. Attention for silence. Invited to the inner circle if you never mention the errors you catch. Status for loyalty. Tagged in victories. If you defend them in their defeats. Access for compliance. Granted the meeting if you accept the terms in advance. Naming these trades gives you choice. You can enter with eyes open, price your yes, and schedule your exit. You can also refuse the market on some days and rebuild reserves, sleep, skills, cash, allies, so you cannot be bought cheap. Detachment funds this reserve. Options are armor. Now the cost of being chosen. Favoritism looks like safety. It feels like a soft chair in a cold room. But when you sit, you inherit the chair's debts. Your patrons' grudges become yours. Their enemies circle you with the same knives. Your advancement is interpreted as their scheme. When they fall out of fashion, you fall through the floor with them. The leash is velvet, yes, but it closes just the same. The gift of protection comes bundled with the bill of obedience. Consider the protégé who is fast-tracked. She receives glowing introductions, prime projects, and public praise. The team smiles to her face and sharpens in private. One day, her patron demands she defend a weak plan. If she refuses, she loses her ladder. If she accepts, she burns her credibility. This is the tax. Consider the favored partner given access to resources in exchange for secrecy. He becomes the vault for another's chaos, the scapegoat for their patterns, the shield in their battles. When the storm hits, he is spent and alone. Being chosen can be a corridor to power or a hallway to a cell. The difference is the lock on the door. A caution. Sometimes you are chosen to be contained. A patron offers a spotlight, so you stop building your own stage. A lover offers intensity, so you stop asking for integrity. A manager offers stretch, so you stretch until you cannot lift your own career. Selection is often sedation. Check the dosage. If your range of motion shrinks as their praise rises, you are not being elevated, you are being parked. The theater is loud, but your future is quieting. There is a clean alternative. Replace vague affection with explicit terms. Ask what are the expectations, the limits, the review points, the exit ramps. Require symmetry where it matters and transparency where it hurts. Praise can remain, but it travels after delivery, not before. Loyalty can remain, but it is loyalty to shared outcomes, not to private appetites. Care can remain, but it is care that respects your no and your silence. You do not reject warmth, you refuse the cuff. You are not against love, you are against leashes. You are not against comfort, you are against cages lined with soft words. The world will keep selling you sugar, you will keep reading labels, you will let the fog of flattery pass, and you will walk when the price is hidden. That is not cruelty, that is self-government. I take terms, not tribute. You think the chains are on your wrists, but the lock is in your chest. Power rarely seizes you by force. It enters by invitation through an old wound you never examined. Every governor outside you, boss, lover, friend, politician, tests the same gate. They knock on fear, on hunger, on shame. If the gate opens, they do not need to conquer you. You sign yourself over. This is not mysticism. It is administration to rule yourself. You must identify the clerk in your mind who stamps approvals for other people's interests. Rule the clerk and the gates stop swinging. Consider the governor within. He sits at a small desk and files your choices. He is not evil. He is frightened. He has one rule: avoid pain at any price. When he hears the footsteps of loss, he panics. When he hears praise, he salivates. When he hears scarcity, he empties the vault to feel safe for one more night. External power works because your inner governor prefers peace to sovereignty. The shrewd do not attack your strength. They recruit your wound. They do not drag you. They align you. Think of the deals that went wrong. You did not lose because the other side was brilliant. You lost because an old fear negotiated for you. You wanted to be seen, so you discounted your rate. You dreaded conflict, so you accepted terms you would later resent. You feared missing the train, so you bought a ticket to the wrong city. This is not moral failure. It is ungoverned. Psychology used like a lever. The invoice arrives later. A thinner spine, a quieter voice, a life managed by alarms. Name the strings. The first is approval hunger. It looks noble because it wears helpful armor. In practice, it makes you obedient to any hand that pats your head. A client praises your can-do spirit, and you donate your weekend to their deadline. A partner calls you the rock, and you carry weights that break your back. A leader calls you team first, and you absorb blame that is not yours. The pattern is mechanical. Praise enters. Boundaries collapse. Concessions flow. The solution is not to hate praise. It is to invoice it. Ask what behavior is being rewarded, what cost is being hidden, what obligation is being implied. If you cannot answer, do not move. The second string is fear of conflict. It convinces you that silence is cheaper than friction. You avoid the short argument and finance a long war. A friend repeatedly cancels, and you laugh it off to stay agreeable. Months later, resentment speaks in an explosion they call irrational. A colleague slices your credit, and you soften your voice until your own name disappears from the deck. A sibling uses your compassion as a schedule. You answer every midnight call and wake up hunted by your phone. The pattern is predictable. You trade clarity now for chaos later. The correction is simple, not easy. State terms early, then shut the door on debate. The third string is scarcity panic. It shouts, "This is your last chance," and you move like a refugee chased by fire. You accept a low offer because a recruiter whispers market collapse. You date someone who mistreats you because the group chat says be realistic. You stay in a broken partnership because the mortgage is real and courage seems expensive. Scarcity narrows vision until every door looks like the only door. Under this spell, You sell your future to buy a quiet present. The counter is reserves, cash, skills, allies, time, so fear cannot mortgage your decisions. Seeing the strings is not enough. You must cut them with counterintelligence on yourself. You will not outcharm your wound. You will out-administer it. Begin with a trigger log. For 30 days, carry a small card or a note on your phone. Every time your heart spikes or your mouth says yes too fast, record the context, the person, the sentence that pressed the button, and what you did next. Patterns appear like footprints in wet sand. Certain phrases will always light you up. I need you, last chance. Don't make this difficult. The log turns fog into data, and data breaks spells. Next, run a concession audit. List the agreements you regret. Next to each, write the benefiting party, the pressure you felt, and the belief that made you move. You will see the same slogans repeat. They'll think I'm difficult. If I say no, they'll leave. This chance won't come again. These are not laws, they are panic campaigns. Retire them. Draft new statutes in calm. A good offer survives a night. Respect grows when I set conditions. My value is not rented by flattery. Put the statutes where you can see them before you answer anything important. Now craft pre-commitment rules, policies that protect you when adrenaline is louder than judgment. Write them like a treasurer guarding public funds. I never agree on the spot. I ask for time to review in writing. I will not explain it to you more than once. Any favor above 10 minutes goes on a calendar with a deadline. Any relationship that punishes boundaries becomes transactional or ends. These rules are boring by design. Boredom saves you from the theater of manipulation. When the room gets loud, policy is your quiet sword. Add operational drills. Before hard meetings, script your opening and your exit. Practice saying, "Let me think and circle back tomorrow," until it sounds like weather, not defiance. Place a bottle of water next to your phone. Sip before you respond to urgency. Silence is a tactic. The person who fills it first often pays. Keep reserves you can verify. Savings, certifications, a portfolio of allies, so fear cannot sell you to the first bidder. When people sense you cannot be hurried, they come with better terms or they do not come at all. Do not demonize your shadows. Approval hunger began as a child's radar for safety. Fear of conflict began as a shield in a house where truth cost blood. Scarcity panic began in a season where bills were wolves. These shadows once kept you alive. Thank them, then demote them. They may visit the council, but they do not rule. The government continues under clearer laws, overseen by an adult who doesn't trade the kingdom for a warm word or a quiet hour. You will be tested. Someone will arrive with perfect praise that fits your wound like a key. Someone will raise their voice and dare you to keep your boundary. Someone will warn you that doors are closing. In those moments, you are not asked to be fearless. You are asked to be governed. Reach for your rules. Consult your ledger. Buy time. If they threaten to leave, let the door teach them the height of your standards. If they withdraw praise, breathe. You did not starve before they arrived. You will not starve after they go. The point is not to become stone. The point is to become a fortress with gates you control. You still feel, you still love, but you do not outsource your judgment to the oldest pain in the room. You reduce your openings to the size of respect. You replace reflex with choice, sentiment with structure, panic with policy. Then when you give, it is a gift, not a tribute. When you trust, it is trust, not trance. When you follow, it is mission, not dependence. This is Machiavellian mercy. Order first so kindness can be chosen, not coerced. Rule yourself or be ruled. The choice is not dramatic. It is daily. You win by paperwork, small pauses, written terms, quiet exits. In time, the governor learns new habits. He stamps fewer permissions. He guards the treasury with steady hands. Some will call you cold. You will know the truth. You are finally warm because the wind no longer blows through holes you refuse to notice. I govern my gates. The balcony is crowded until the wind changes. The night is bright. You step out to applause. You have learned to hear as proof that you exist. From this height, you believe in guardians, kind eyes that bent rules for you, warm rooms that protected you, invitations that made you feel chosen. The court glitters. You do not see the wires. Then, in slow motion, a small truth arrives. a favor you will not grant, a deal you refuse to dress in pretty words, a boundary set on the table. The smiles falter. The room tilts. A laugh lands too hard. A message pings that feels like winter. After all we've done for you, you're not who we thought. Be careful. The hands that raised you release you. Praise once heavy as gold becomes light as ash. The balcony becomes a plank. Your protectors were buyers. Their warmth was a price tag you did not read. The dinners were retainers. The posts were receipts. The whispered family was not blood but debt. You remember the night a patron called you essential, then asked for a quiet lie. You agreed just once. Once I taught them your currency. Once printed your face on their bill. Now the bill arrives in a pile you cannot lift. You fall through your roles: favorite, team player, the rock. Each costume tears as you reach for it. Someone laughs like a door locking. Your body becomes an embarrassment you must carry from room to room. A small voice begs, apologize, even if you did nothing. Explain, even if no one is listening. Run, even if there is nowhere to go. This is the price of naivety. You thought being needed protected you. You thought love was an oath with no fine print. You thought safety had no counteroffer. You now see the trade in every embrace, the calculus under every toast. You were not wicked, you were unbriefed. Your first impulse is withdrawal. Shrink your life to a room, mute every thread, disappear. You want to be so small no one can swing at you. Invisibility feels like sleep after a fever. But the world does not forget because you hid. Silence born of fear is a flag. Pressure me here. It invites the same buyers to test your edges again. Soft messages arrive to edit your memory, to turn your boundary into their version of consent. If you rush to please, you pay the old tax again. Your second impulse is rage. Send the screenshot, post the thread, call the names. Anger burns clean in the first minute. It returns you to your body, but it spends your future like gasoline on wet ground. The court knows how to use your fire. They will point and say, unstable. You win moments and lose position. Both impulses give control away. Begging returns you to the leash you cut. Striking back on their stage enrolls you in their script. You become a character they can name: ungrateful, volatile, fragile. This is how people disappear while still standing in the room. There is a third path, the strategic pause. No statements, no deals, no revenge. For a fixed period, 30 days, if you need a number, you clasp your own wrists behind your back. Leave some messages unread. Draft replies and store them like knives you might later forge. Speak only to counsel 2 or 3 minds that do not love the noise. The pause is not retreat. It is a vault where your identity sits in pieces on a table and you sort them like evidence. Inside the pause, perform an inventory. What did you trade for warmth? What did you call loyalty that was fear? Whose problems did you carry to be called indispensable? Which part of your story became public only because you handed out copies? List the scenes like a clerk, dates, requests, words, your response. Do not turn away from the worst lines. Clarity cuts, then cauterizes. Then separate assets from ornaments. Keep what you can defend under oath. Your work, your craft, your proof of delivery, your ability to stand in a room without twitching for praise. Discard costumes that made you borrow a personality. You do not announce it. You simply stop wearing them. You stop laughing at jokes that recruit you. You stop accepting invitations that cost your spine. Let people feel the vacancy where your compliance used to be. During the pause, rebuild private power. Sleep until your eyes stop shaking. Restore routines that ignore the court. Study your contracts, written and unwritten. Close leaks in your calendar. Who gets access? Who gets default apologies? Who can paste urgent on your life? Turn off the push that made your pulse their metronome. Create reserves, cash if you can, skills always, and allies who like you because you tell the truth. The aim is not isolation. The aim is independence with doors that open from your side only. You will be tempted to clear your name. Names are not cleared by speeches. They are clarified by pattern. The next 30 days are a pattern machine. Do fewer, better things and do them on schedule. Reply later and calmer. Choose projects that cannot be faked by slogans. Document. Let your future self be your press office. Courts feast on confession. They starve on competence. By the end of the pause, grief becomes information. Embarrassment becomes education. You regain the right to call events by their names. Betrayal is not tragedy. It is a report about misaligned interests. Humiliation is not destiny. It is a tax for trusting the wrong bank. Loss is not emptiness. It is the floor exposed when carpets are pulled. Step on the floor, it holds. Now decide. Some bridges you burn with a thank you note. Some alliances you convert to contracts with terms. Some circles you exit without a speech. The court will notice your silence and call it arrogance. Let them. Quiet is not pride. It is policy. Offer your work, not your nerves. Sell outcomes, not your name. Shake hands with open eyes and your own signature pen. The collapse was a doorway. You walked in as a favorite and walked out free. What broke was the image that begged. What remained was the person who builds. You will still love. You will still be loyal. But you will not confuse comfort with care or heat with light. Next time you choose your balcony, it will be a roof you can afford with a lock you control and a view that reminds you who owns your steps. I keep my crown inside. You did not fall out of love. You fell out of a contract you never read. Look back without perfume. The moments you called devotion were often alignment of interests, timing that served both sides, or usefulness dressed as affection. That does not make the warmth fake, it makes it functional. You were chosen because you fit a need, not because eternity signed your name. Strip away the aura and read the margins. Deliver comfort, deliver silence, deliver strength on command. When delivery stops, the halo flickers. That is not a tragedy. That is accounting. Interest, not intimacy. A mentor praises your potential, opens doors and places you near the heat. Then comes a small request. Defend a shaky plan, overlook a quiet harm, repeat a sentence you do not believe. You think it is love. It is a contract with deliverables. A manager calls you family, schedules heroic hours, and baptizes exploitation as culture. A partner rescues you from your mess and grows attached to your weakness because your weakness is the stage where they feel heroic. These are roles, not sacraments. They are agreements misnamed as destiny, so you will not question the fee. Demystify it. Love that demands blindness is not intimacy. It is insurance. If closeness requires you to stop asking questions, you are not loved, you are secured. If loyalty demands that you shrink, you are not protected, you are parked. Remove the halo and the face remains. Now you can speak to a person, not to a myth that sold you silence. This is not cynicism. This is clarity that frees you to price your yes and schedule your no. Adopt a new metric: respect over romance. Everywhere. The question is simple. Does this arrangement increase mutual capability, not mutual thrill, not applause, capability? Can both of you do more, think clearer, and stand straighter because of this tie? If the answer is no, you are paying for the scene, not the structure. Romance without respect is theater. Respect without romance can still build a city. Measure capability at work. Does your manager's praise turn into budget, coaching, and a margin for mistakes, or only sparkle in public updates? Do collaborations sharpen your judgment or demand constant apology? Are you free to tell the truth at the table, or must you translate truth into flattery to be heard? Where respect is real, disagreement produces improvements. Where respect is fake, a single no becomes treason. Measure capability in friendship. Do your friends protect your calendar when you protect your health? Do they celebrate your boundaries because boundaries make you trustworthy? Do they ask for presence or for performance? If your value is your availability, you are not a friend, you are a service. Friends who choose respect over spectacle make you steadier, not smaller. Measure capability in love. Do you both grow? Are promises renegotiated when seasons change? Or are you sentenced to old vows that fit no one now? Are apologies backed by altered routines, or are they coupons that fund the next mistake? When respect leads, love becomes quieter and stronger, fewer fireworks, more foundation. It looks plain from a distance and feels safe up close. Now, clean contracts. You are not outlawing tenderness. You are outlawing confusion. Convert blurred bonds into explicit terms so no one must guess, beg, or manipulate to get their needs met. Start with scope. What is inside this relationship, and what is outside? At work, hours, ownership, decision rights and metrics that end debates. In friendship, availability, honesty, confidentiality, and the right to say no without a trial. In love, money rules, conflict rules, privacy rules, and review points where the terms are checked against reality. Set expectations. Who is responsible for what? What is the standard for response time, effort, and tone? Put it in writing where possible. The aim is not to trap each other. It is to diffuse landmines, add exit options. How do we step back, pause, or end without warfare? What notice is fair? What remains after the end? Gratitude, clean settlements, silence, exit terms make beginnings safe. People cling to chains because they fear the break. When the break is honest and pre-agreed, you do not need chains. You can choose, stay or leave without turning life into court. Practice this everywhere. Before a new role, ask for the document that defines success and the levers you can pull. If none exists, write the first draft and invite edits. Before a collaboration, write a one-page charter goal, scope, who decides, how conflict is resolved, what triggers a reset. Before moving in, agree on budgets, chores, solitude, guests, and what happens when grief or ambition changes the climate. Use simple language, keep it short, put it where you can see it, review it when reality moves. You will hear protests. This kills the vibe. Vibe is the word people use when terms would expose the subsidy you provide. This feels transactional. Yes, because life is a web of transactions layered with care. When the trade is named, care is free to be care, not a bribe. Clean contracts protect tenderness from exploitation. They keep warmth warm. Reframing is not bitterness. It is vision. You honor the good moments without joining a cult. You stop tithing to miss and start investing in agreements. You forgive yourself for believing the posters. The show was beautiful, the stagehands were busy, the rent was due. Now you stand in the lobby with the lights on. You can love with your eyes open. You can negotiate without shame. You can walk away without a trial. A final revision for your story. It was never love or nothing. It was often alignment or appetite. Some bonds were real and will remain stronger for being honest. Others will shrink to their true size and stop pretending to be your sky. This is freedom, not frost. It is the heat that lets metal bend into a bridge instead of a chain. I choose respect and terms over worship and chains. Sharpen your light where your shadow stands guard. You do not conquer darkness by denying it. You govern it, you inventory the parts of you that embarrass you, neediness, envy, vindictiveness, and you assign them work. They do not leave because you scold them. They respect structure. Your aim is not to become ruthless. Your aim is to become reliable. Begin with an inventory of drives. Write the unsayable list in plain words. The hunger for status that spikes when someone with less craft gets more applause. The fantasy of revenge that writes perfect speeches at 2 a.m. The terror of exclusion that makes you over-explain, over-give, and overstay. Add the quiet ones. The urge to be right in public, the itch to be rescued in private, the secret delight when rivals stumble. This is not confession for shame. It is reconnaissance for command. What you hide runs you. What you name can be managed. Stand with steel in your voice and read each item aloud. I want status. Good. Where does status seeking sharpen you? And where does it make you stupid? Put the answers on paper. I want revenge. Fine. Where can that heat become fuel for excellence instead of smoke for arson? Define the channel, deliver better work, build better systems, raise better numbers. I fear exclusion. Understood. How can that fear push you to build your own doors instead of scratching at others? You are not erasing your shadow, you are enrolling it. A force without a task becomes a saboteur. A force with a task becomes a tool. Now the transmutation protocols. First, convert approval hunger into standards. When you crave praise, your pace belongs to applause. Replace the crowd with a code. Write self-issued metrics that cannot be flattered. Response times, error rates, depth of analysis, daily word count, revenue per hour, hours of practice logged. Post the numbers where your eyes cannot lie. When praise arrives, treat it as weather, not oxygen. When it withholds, your engine still moves because it runs on rules you control. Second, convert conflict avoidance into scripts. Fear makes your tongue soft and your calendar crowded with other people's priorities. Write sentences that protect you when adrenaline spikes. Thanks for asking. I'll respond tomorrow after review. Please put that in writing so I can give it proper attention. That doesn't work for me. Here are two alternatives. I'm not available for that, but I wish you well. Practice until the words leave your mouth like water, not war. Scripts are small laws you pass for your own republic. When pressure rises, law steadies the hand. Third, convert scarcity panic into reserves. Panic sells your future for a quiet afternoon. Build assets that slow your breath. Cash, start small, automate, protect. Time, block hours nobody can buy. Options, skills that travel. Relationships not tied to one court, portable proof of work. Reserves are not greed, they are brakes. With brakes, you approach the curve with judgment, not fear. Scarcity will whisper last chance. Your calendar, skills, and savings will answer, we have more doors. Operationalize the protocols. Put numbers and dates on the wall. Evaluate your days by inputs you control, not reactions you collect. Weekly review, did you hit your standards? Use at least one script and fund your reserves. If yes, you are winning, even if no one clapped. If not, the week becomes a teacher, not a trial. The shadow respects consistency. When it sees a scoreboard, it stops running the game and starts scoring points for your side. Now the detachment drills, training for pressure so control becomes reflex. Drill 1, the delayed yes. Every request that costs more than 10 minutes earns a sunset. I'll confirm tomorrow. The world will not end overnight. Bad deals often will. Drill 2, the planned no. Choose a polite refusal you can speak without heat. Use it weekly until your nervous system learns survival without approval. Drill 3, silence under pressure. Count to 10, sip water. Let the other side fill the quiet. People reveal intentions when they rush to occupy silence. Drill 4, decoys to test loyalty. Offer low-stakes chances for others to show their pattern. A small boundary, a minor credit, a shared win. Watch who honors it without theater. Promote those people to closer circles, reassign or release the rest. Loyalty tested early is cheaper than betrayal discovered late. Drill 5, red team your own plan. Before any negotiation, become your adversary for 15 minutes. How would you exploit your calendar, your pride, your fear? Patch the holes. Invite a trusted mind to attack your plan again. The pain of rehearsal is cheaper than the price of surprise. These drills are not paranoia. They are preparation. Detachment is not frost. It is freedom from reflex. You remain humane because your choices are chosen, not extracted. You can extend grace without becoming a doormat because your scripts and standards prevent quiet theft. You can be generous without becoming a donor to someone else's chaos because reserves let you give what you can afford. Bring the shadow to the council chamber. Give each driver a seat and a small portfolio. Ambition. You handle daily improvement metrics. Envy. You monitor competitors, not to poison the well, but to learn methods we can surpass. Vindictiveness. You maintain the archive, receipts, timelines, contracts, so justice can be pursued by facts, not flames. Fear. You test our plans for leaks. Your job is a risk, not a rule. The chair remains yours. They advise, you decide. Apply the toolkit in modern scenes. A client flatters you and demands a rush. You run your code, delayed yes, written scope, premium for speed, deposit up front, approval hunger knocks, standards answer the door. A boss calls you family while hinting at weekend work. You use the script. Send the priorities in writing. I'll confirm Monday's plan. If they threaten your standing, your reserves keep your spine straight. In love, someone confuses intensity with care. You set terms kindly, frequency, boundaries, repair rituals, and watch whether respect grows under your no. Expect resistance from the old you. Neediness will ask for one more hit. Envy will try to whisper poison. Vindictiveness will light matches and call it warmth. Do not banish them with sermons. Assign them tasks and hold them to measures. When they deliver, thank them. When they riot, find them a day of silence. This is governance, not theater. Soon the habits weld. The delayed yes becomes instinct. The planned no arrives with a steady voice. The silence under pressure feels like oxygen instead of vacuum. You stop performing allegiance to rooms that trade in panic. Your shadow does not disappear. It learns to serve. People will label you cold. Let them, you will know the truth. Your warmth is now a choice, not bait. You do not promise to never want, never envy, never burn. You promise to recognize the urge, run the protocol, and return to your code. That is adulthood in the arena. The world remains loud. You become quiet and accurate. I use my shadow as a tool, not a throne. The storm passes, and you do not chase it. You stand still and notice something rare. Quiet is a form of victory. Not the noisy triumph of crowds, but the steady breath of a life you govern. You no longer sprint toward every spark with a bucket or a match. You let some fires die. You light none. You cannot afford to hold. Quiet power begins with fewer needs. When you do not need their praise, their panic loses volume. When you do not need their table, every room becomes optional. The battlefield shrinks. Half the feuds were debts to your own hunger. You release those debts and watch enemies disappear for lack of payment. Your path clears not by conquest, but by refusing invitations to chaos. You pick fewer fights and win more because each fight protects something real. This peace is not numbness. It is precision. You still feel, but you do not auction your feelings to buy approval. You still care, but you do not finance other people's storms. You keep your circle small and your rules visible. Your mornings are boring in the best way, the same practices, the same standards, the same refusal to rush. Predictability becomes armor. People learn where you begin and where you end, and the wise adjust, the foolish drift away to louder stages. From this steadiness you design alliances. Chemistry is pleasant, alignment is durable. Choose partners whose incentives point the same direction as yours when the weather turns. Ask for terms before warmth, scope before slogans, evidence before promises. Put the agreements on paper, not to trap each other, but to protect the work from memory's theater. Review them on a schedule like you would sharpen a blade, quietly, regularly, without drama. When seasons change, update the terms or update the team. In work, you prefer builders to boosters. A builder will argue with you to improve the plan and sign their name to the results. A booster will praise the plan and vanish when accountability arrives. In friendship, you choose those who respect your calendar as a sign of respect for themselves. In love, you choose a partner who understands that boundaries are bridges, not walls. They connect two strong shores. These choices don't make life frictionless. They make friction meaningful. Exit cleanly when alignment breaks. You owe no speeches, only settlements. Close the books with accuracy and wish people well without carrying their weather into your house. The habit of clean exits keeps your hands free for better tools. It also keeps your memory honest. Without the residue of secret wars, you remember the good without wanting it back, and the bad without needing revenge. Power, in this form, is restraint. You could scorch the room with the truth, but you deliver only what the mission requires. You could flood your feed with victories, but you count them in a private ledger and move on. You could hoard grudges, but you store receipts instead and let time do its quiet work. This is not a weakness. This is conservation of force. Strength that rests is strength that lasts. Notice the small freedoms that arrive. Meals without performance. Meetings that start and end on time. Work that speaks for itself. Sleep that is not interrupted by apology drafts. You stop auditioning for rooms you do not respect. You grant access to people who treat your purpose as a trust. The city around you may still be noisy, but your home is governed. Your day is a series of chosen acts, not collisions. You will still be tested. Someone will wave urgency like a flag. Someone will coat a trap with praise. Someone will force a choice between heat and light. Remember, the disciplined path feels narrow at first, and then opens into fields. The desperate path feels wide at first, and then narrows into handcuffs. Choose the field. Choose the air. You do not swear eternal peace. You swear daily terms. You enforce them with calm repetition until they become your climate. And when pressure rises, you return to the law you wrote for yourself and say it aloud, steady and simple. I choose terms, not chains.